I love retro games, obviously, as you see behind me. But maybe not so obvious is the fact that I don't collect retro games anymore. Which, once again, I know looking behind me is like, what the fuck? Obviously, you collect retro games. You have a collection full of retro games. Um, and I should say I no longer actively seek out retro games at all. Like the other day, I was in GameStop and for whatever reason there was a copy of Piano 3. It wasn't even like one of the retro, it was just my local GameStop. And I don't know if maybe they're bringing in smaller selection of retro titles here and there, but there was a copy of Piano 3 sitting there. It's $40 and I'm cool, I'll pick this thing up. But I no longer actively seek out retro games anymore. Like I'm never shopping on eBay for them. I don't really go to the local retro stores as much as I should. I should still pop in there just to support every now and then because I want those stores to continue to exist. But yeah, I totally quit collecting retro games. This has probably been about 2 years or so where I'll buy maybe two retro games a year, three retro games a year, something like that for the last couple years. And those are really, like I talked about, just total spur of the moment, random things. Where it's like, oh, damn, that's not a bad price for that. I'll pick it up just in case I ever have interest in playing it. And it's, not available on modern platforms or whatever. But so yeah, there's a number of reasons why I quit collecting retro games. Obviously, the one that I think has hit all of us at a certain point is the price tag. The prices just got so outrageous. And I'll even say that it's probably been, I say 2 years where it's been almost nothing, but really about 4 or 5 years even where my retro game picking up has slowed down dramatically. I remember, close to a decade ago, I would go to my flea market, my local flea market, and on the weekends they would just be packed. There would be people selling top tier high quality games for 10, $15, $20 max. And now those same games are up in the $100+ price range. And I know that some of that retro stuff, depending on the console, is starting to dip back down, which I love to see. But it just got kind of silly to me when it started getting to a point where I'm like, oh, this NCAA basketball game, college basketball 2010, a game that was mass produced in the millions and millions of copies, is now going for over $100. Like, obviously, that's some level of artificial inflation. There is no scarcity when it comes to college hoops 2010. Or like those Activision published Spider-Man games for the 360. It just got to a point where I was like, yo, this is getting crazy. This is getting crazy where you could go into almost any shop and grab those Activision Spider-Man games or a copy of College Basketball 2010 and walk out the door for $4 or $5. I mean, I'm talking about your local establishments, like your actual stores. You could go in and pick those things up where they go through and they are pricing everything very specifically. Like those games were worth nothing, and then just out of nowhere, a ballooning price increase because of whatever number of different reasons. So, of course, I do not want to discount the level of importance and the just how much the pricing balloon factored into my decision to quit collecting retro games. But I think even more so than that, there was just like, and this is something that doesn't get talked about enough, but like, I kind of just started feeling pretty satisfied with my collection. Like, sure, there's games that I see pop up all the time where it's like, oh, damn, I've never even heard of this random ass original Xbox racing game or whatever the case may be. Mad Dash, I see Mad Dash pop up. Like, whoa, okay, didn't even know Mad Dash existed, and it kind of looks cool. So there's things like that you're gonna see pop up, but I started getting to a point where I would go, okay, this game looks cool. I've never heard of it. Am I really going to play this? because I got hundreds of games, well over 100 games in my collection right now that I haven't played yet. And so if I'm just continuously piling on top of that, like I know people collect for different reasons. I've never been someone who wanted to collect just to just to own it, just to have the case. Like I want to the things that I collect, I want to have some knowledge of. I want to have some memories with that. I want to have some, at least mild passion for the game, whether it be good, bad, whatever. I just want to know, like, oh yeah, I remember that. There's that one dumbass level, the underwater level. That shit, I'll never go back to that game because of that one level. But it's like something's there. There's something between me and this game. We share a memory, and I know that sounds so damn stupid, but I just don't have any interest in owning games for the sake of owning games. And FOMO really comes into play with that as well, where we know prices balloon left, right, and center. So we'll see a game for $65 and it's kind of on the up. It's trending upward in price. So we go ahead and grab it immediately. That way it doesn't get to $80. And then it just sits on your shelf forever. And it's like, I spent $200 on Silent Hill Shattered Memories? Are you fucking joking? Every time I look at that game on my shelf, I shake my head. Every single time I'm like, dude, you spent a stupid amount of money on a game that you still have not played. And on a game that, if I'm being totally honest, I don't have a ton of interest in playing Silent Hill Shattered Memories. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's a fine game. I'm also sure at some point when Konami stops fucking doing whatever pachinko dumb shit they're doing, they'll put out a remastered package. Silent Hill Shattered Memories will be included on there, and the price of the game I bought will shoot down to like $40. And let me be very, very clear about this. I hope that happens. I hope that happens because I shouldn't have spent $200 on Silent Hill Shattered Memories. And I want people, I want the market to recorrect. That way people can go back out and have fun like I used to have. Whenever I was going to the flea market with my buddies and we could just pick up piles of games. If we dropped $100 bill, we were coming home with a box of games. Like genuinely too many to just carry in our hands. We would have bags of games if we dropped $100 bill. And that was so fun, going back to the crib, getting our consoles hooked up, and just dabbling for a few minutes here with damn Circus Maximus and Breakdown and just random games where we would just play them for a little bit. Fusion Frenzy, pop it in, check it out. And there was this mystery and also this obtainability that is not there today. Like you just can't, I know some people have their spots that they hit where they have this one specific pawn shop that does really good deals and this one specific flea market and this one specific thrift store or whatever. And that's dope. If you got that in your area and you have one that you can hit up and get good prices at, man, cherish that, because those people are becoming more and more privy to the fact that games are valuable, and these different shops are shooting up their prices to crazy. I mean, a lot of places will just have a base standard price, and that's kind of what you prefer. Unfortunately, back in the day, I was like, okay, well, $2, $3, that's our base standard price at the thrift shop. And now I was like, okay, well, it's $30 for all games. Okay, well, let me hope that there's an $80 game amongst your other games that you're charging $30 for that are actually worth like $7. But yeah, man, all the time I'll look around and I'll see something pop up and I'm like, oh, you get that instinct where it's like, oh, I want to buy that. I want to check that out. But really, when I look at my collection, I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied with what I have. The heavy hitters, I have the majority of the ones that I was like, just had to play. The games that I had to knock off the backlog. I thankfully, a lot of those are still on the cheaper side, like your Witcher 3s and your Uncharted games and not retro, but those style of titles that are mass produced. Thankfully, a lot of those are still on the fairly inexpensive side, so it's not too hard to grab like the ultra heavy hitters. But yeah, it's like I'm cool with my collection. I don't feel like I need to add much else to it, especially from a retro standpoint. Like, I love collecting for the PlayStation 5. I absolutely love it. I think there's something so fun and novel about the idea of collecting for the last system that will probably be totally DRM free. I think the base PS5 is going to be our last totally DRM free console. Because even with the pros and the mid-gen slim PS5, they've added in those online startup bullshit where you have to connect to the internet just to get the console functional, and that's not in place with the base PS5. So the publishers and developers out there who prioritize making sure their game is complete on disc, you can run those games from start to finish on the disc. If they put all of the data on the disc, which a surprising amount of developers and publishers still do care about that and still will commit to that when they release their games physically. And I love that. I love collecting for that machine because I just think it's obviously something that's going to fade away in time. But I also think, it's also, I like modern gaming. I really, really like modern gaming a lot. And I love the fact that modern gaming, there's still so much we need to do to preserve the past, but there is, like, you look at Aspyr and you look at Night Dive and you look at a lot of the work that's being done by some of these different publishing outfits, or Konami with the Metal Gear Solid collection, and Capcom with the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting collection, and these companies are starting to seemingly care, or seemingly understand now that there's money to be made, there's profit to be made with baiting people in with that nostalgia. And you're even seeing like Dino Crisis coming to the PlayStation Plus collection in October. So there, and shout out once again to PlayStation for that service, that PlayStation Plus premium service. I used to shit on that. This isn't worth nothing, yada yada yada. And you look at it now and it's like, yo, y'all are stacking up over there. Y'all got your Wild Arms over there. You got your Dino Crisis coming over there. You got all your Siphon Filters, your Twisted Metals. Like, you have heavy hitters on that PlayStation Plus premium catalog, and you can buy those games a la carte. And so if I'm being totally real with you, I would rather just play everything on one system or two systems. I'd like to just have my Series X and my PS5 hooked up and not really bother with a lot of the older stuff. It's a little bit of a hassle, you know what I mean? I don't have some elaborate setup here in my single wide mobile home where I can display everything. Like, it's just more convenient, to run the games on the modern systems that I honestly just prefer playing on. And if we can get more and more of those retro titles on the modern platforms, then that's all the better for me, and it's all the better for the retro collectors out there as well, because you look at old NCAA 2025 when it comes out and the decade-long drought ends for a college football game. NCAA 14 goes from being sold at $200 to about $40 on eBay. When Dino Crisis is available to be bought digitally, I don't know what Dino Crisis is even going at on eBay, but I'm sure it's something stupid. I'm sure it's something ridiculous and unnecessary, but I can almost guarantee that will probably drop whenever whenever Dino Crisis, at least the first game, is available to be bought digitally in less than a month. But yeah, no idea where the hell I'm going with that ramble, but that is the ramble of the day. Talking some retro games. Why I don't, and I can't say I don't collect retro games, because technically I have a collection of retro games, but why I no longer seek out retro games. That doesn't sound as good for the title of this YouTube video, so we'll stick with why I no longer collect retro games.